Welcome back, everybody. In today's episode, we are speaking with Pejji. He is yet another YouTuber that I wanted to get to know on a deeper, more personal level on how he got interested in Tesla, his investment journey, his philosophy, why he does what he does, how he does it, his background, his life, etc. Have you been following? I've been doing this with several different YouTubers who cover Tesla to get to know the people behind the channel, behind the content, behind the investment. Pejji is a very fascinating, interesting mind. He's got great charisma, great energy, and he has a very, very large passion for investing and Tesla itself. Today, we talk about all sorts of things, not just Tesla. We talked about living in Kuwait, in Canada, starting up his own business, what he did after university, his goals for Tesla, his goals for investing, just life in general. Pejji has a very unique perspective as he doesn't live in the States. So I think it's even more important to listen to these minds, these different perspectives of the world, of the United States, of Tesla, of Elon, from outsiders' point of view. He's a valuable contributor to the Tesla community, has an excellent YouTube channel, which I highly recommend you check out. I hope you enjoy this episode. I'll continue to do these interviews of getting to know the people behind the channels, if you will. And with that said, let's get into it. So, all right. So you're in Kuwait. Explain this to me, because it seems like you bounce between Canada and Kuwait, and you're Iranian. So, just for anybody who is watching this, I don't have a structure to any of these interviews. I never do. The whole point of this for me is to kind of get to know more about the people who are following Tesla and making content about Tesla, and just learning about them, and then obviously talking Tesla. But yeah, so Kuwait, Canada, Iranian. Can you explain that to all of us? Because it's like, where's Pejji? Where's Pejji this time? And it's like, he's back in Canada.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like your interviews. They're raw and they're very authentic. I really love them.
Appreciate it.
I thank you for bringing me on. And those who are watching right now, smash that like button and subscribe. I don't know why you guys aren't subscribing or liking Nicholas' stuff, man. He does podcasts that are like so deep into Tesla. I watch. I'm a subscriber myself, so yeah.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm horrible about telling people to like and subscribe. I always forget. It's like the last thing I'm thinking about.
Hey, man, smash that like button, everyone. So no, I was born in Kuwait. I was born here. I immigrated to Canada when I was 5. I went for kindergarten there, elementary there, high school there, and uni there. And then when I finished, I came back to Kuwait because we have a family business here in Kuwait, where it's been, me and my brothers are the second generation of the business here. And we just, take care of that. And we go back and forth from Toronto to Kuwait. That's how we just do it. If it wasn't for a business here or anything, we would just be in Toronto. But because Kuwait, the thing with Kuwait is that making a living here is so much easier than it is in, like, let's say Toronto, because this past summer that I went to Toronto, man, things are so expensive. Taxes are so high. You're in Florida right now, right?
Correct.
So you don't pay state tax.
No, we don't pay state tax, but we have other taxes that are really high. Like our property taxes are very, very high, and
those guys
no signs of slowing down. So yeah.
Well, no,
one way or another, they get you.
In Canada, it's like tax on tax, and they're thinking of bringing more taxes on taxes, and it's like, and everything, dude. The average rent there is like $2,500 a month. Like, who can survive that? Like, and getting a mortgage now is, you need to have over $250,000 in income to get a mortgage. It's ridiculous. But here in Kuwait, there's no taxes. You don't pay any taxes. It's just straight up cash, and it's dinars converted to dollars, which is like, it's the most strongest currency. One Kuwaiti dinar is like $3.33 US, which would be right now almost $5 Canadian. So when you want to convert, you feel like a king. So overall, just living here in Kuwait at the moment, things are just easier day to day than it is in
Yeah.
Toronto. One of my brothers is in Toronto, and he's paycheck to paycheck. It's just whatever he's trying to do, just paycheck to paycheck. And I'm just like, dude, cut down on something. I don't know, go, rent this out because you can do whatever you want there. It's not like here in Kuwait where if they catch you at another job and you are assigned on your civil ID at one job,
Yeah.
deportation. There's no jail, nothing. Oh, you did this, out you go. So you're very limited here in Kuwait in terms of that. But in Canada, you're free to do whatever you want. So you can do all that. But at the end of the day, if you don't have I guess, a business that generates at least 10K a month in terms of net, man, it's paycheck to paycheck, man. It's difficult. It's hard. And all my friends, which I'm 28, and all my friends are around the same age, they're all living with their parents because, like, man, I can't go
Mhm.
anywhere.
Yeah,
So
it's funny
yeah,
you say that. Like here in Florida, I mean, things have gotten kind of crazy. It's like I wouldn't say it's Toronto level, um, right? Because there are a few places that are like Toronto, right? I would say like Tokyo, New York, maybe Paris, uh, parts of California, but here where I live in Miami, but in the Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg area, it's you talk about $2,500 rent. I would say the average rent here is at least 2,000. And that's for like a pretty crappy place, to be honest. And it's funny though because there's still a lot of like land that hasn't that I don't know how to say this the right way, but that needs to be
hasn't been developed.
gentrified. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It's just like it's kind of run down, and you can tell that that's where like the cities
Mm,
are growing into, which they need to, but it's it's interesting because there's so many people who have moved down from the Northeast. I mean, oh my goodness, the amount of people from Toronto that live here is insane. But they come down here and they see here and they're like, to your point, like, oh, 2,000 a month? That's not 2,500 a month. This is so cheap. Or they'll see a house that's $1 million versus like in Toronto, it'd be 1.5 million. Like, oh, that's so cheap.
oh,
you
dude,
know, so
dude,
so they come here and then we're in this like weird space where it's like you've got the people who there's three class of people. You've got people who saw like what was happening in these areas that they were thriving, starting to grow, like the pre-Austin moment, and like you could see a little vision a little bit into the future. Like that was me, right? And so they got their places, they got their land, their real estate, and it's boomed. And we've been very fortunate. Then you got the people who have come down here and who have helped build all of us a lot of wealth. But people like me are sitting here and we're like, man, I don't know if I'd be able to live here anymore if I still, if our company and obviously I could, but like mentally, it'd be like, there's no way because I know what I paid for this. I wouldn't pay for that for it now. Like, there's no
yeah,
way. And then unfortunately, you got the people who are just being forced out. And so
yeah,
there's no like middle class room for it. There's no, I don't know. It's interesting. We're in a
yeah.
weird spot here in Florida where it's just so many people with money have come from up north, and then the people who were here who invested, they're happy. Obviously, they're not going to put up a fuss because their value's gone up. But then everybody else who's from here, lived here,
Yeah.
grew up here, they're just screwed. It's a
Yeah,
weird
dude.
place
No,
to
I'll be
be.
honest. Those guys who came from Canada to Florida, they're doing something very smart because look, in
I agree.
Canada, 1,000 square foot home in Toronto, 1.5 million. You don't get any backyard. You don't get a garage. I mean, you get a small garage, but it's so cramped. It's small. It's like, why am I going to pay 1.5 for this where I can take that money, go to the States, a nice place like Florida next to the beach, pay 1/3 of that and get me a nice villa or a nice house. You
Yeah,
know,
I wouldn't.
it's
I don't know if it's that much. What I would say is your 1.5 for 1,000 square feet. You can get like a maybe 2,000 square foot house, 2 car garage
oh, there
that
we
has a
go.
backyard, and you can maybe get it on the water, maybe, but that's a lot more than what you're saying, right? So I
Oh,
wouldn't
hell
say a
yeah.
villa, but you can get a lot more for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's ridiculous. Like in Toronto, like I'm thinking, like if I'm gonna get a property and stuff like that, there's no way with these prices. And they're not coming down. Like, yeah, they've come down a little bit, like 10, 12%, but 10, 20%, but it's still not enough. It's like it's, you need to get like, unless you move to Saskatchewan or Manitoba around there, in the middle of flipping nowhere, where you can get things for maybe like, and even there is expensive, like 400,000 for like, yeah, they'll give you like 10 acres, but like you're in the middle of nowhere. And if I'm going to spend 500,000, I'll just probably use that money to rent in Toronto and do something there, so I can at least make an income. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. No, what if for me, I'm planning to buy land because it's cheap all the way up north in Ontario, and just build. It's cheaper than getting a house. I did the numbers. I contacted a few developers, and they're like, yeah, this is the cost. And I'm like, you're telling me if I buy land that's like 5-10 acres and I build on that, it's much cheaper than getting an already built home. The number said yes. I'm like, okay, I guess that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah. Yeah. My wife and I were, I guess for like the last 2 years, we've been looking. We're very specific on what we want, but it's unfortunate because anything, like, we know we're gonna have to tear down whatever's there. Like, it's
Mm,
hard to
yeah,
find things on the water, the right lot size, facing the right direction, so you get the type of sun you want during the day and stuff. But then it's like it's soul crushing because everything is going to be anywhere from 1 to 1.5 million, and then you have to tear it down because
mm,
there's these stupid rules here that say that you can't build up or add an addition that is more than 50% of the value of the house. Not the house and the land, the house. So the land might be worth a million or 1.2 million, but the house is a piece of crap worth like 40, 50 grand. So it's like, all right, so you're telling me I have to play all these games and only add 25K here, then 25K. It's silly. And then in the big scheme of things, like, all right, you might as well just tear it down, build what you want, make sure all the pipes, all the electrical, everything's brand new, rather than trying
exactly.
to ideally just add or additions and things like that. Uh, yeah. But
No, it's
we've been
ridiculous.
patient and looking, and the right thing will come up when it's the right time.
Yeah. I mean, once Tesla 10x is, yeah, you'll have more. You don't have to worry about that.
What? So when's that? What's make me say
10,
sheesh over here? When is Tesla 10x?
when Tesla 10x, okay.
And
If
10x
FSD come,
from what price?
let's say right now, what is it, 660 billion? Yeah, 660 billion. I
Uh,
think that's where it's at. Just below 700 billion is the valuation.
that makes sense.
So if you want a 10x, that's almost 7 trillion. So that would mean they would have to have FSD solved. They would have to have FSD licensed. Um, they would have to have at least 13 million vehicle deliveries. I have it all in a spreadsheet, actually. Um, let me see. Let me see if I can pull it up.
So you think they have to have all of that to 10x?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, they have to. They have to at least, if they have to at least have um, the full self driving at some level of revenue generated. They have to. Otherwise, what are you gonna? I mean, how else can you get to that? Yeah. So with a 20, well, no, 23 PE at that time, if you have robotaxis coming through, I would say a 35 PE. Yeah. With a 35 PE, if vehicle gross margins is 24%, which I have here, can I share the screen? This way, I think it's easier for everyone to see.
Yeah, I think so.
Let's see.
Uh,
Da, 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 da,
Try
da, da,
see
da.
see if you can.
Screen share. Bum, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-da, ba-da, ba-da. There it is. Perfect. Boom. Can you see?
There we go.
Perfect. Yeah. So for 2030, if they have a vehicle gross profits of 24%, and if they have full self driving solved and it's available for anyone around the world to opt in for it, at least for the countries that are approved to do it, which I think if the data comes and it shows us like an order of magnitude or at least 10 times more safer than humans, which apparently I think now it is based on the studies that I'm reading, then governments around the world, it's really hard for them not to approve it. So I would expect most countries by 2030 to accept the full self-driving um, on a monthly basis or whatever it is. So that's what that's in the equation here. For
Mm.
licensing, I think that's gonna double. Um, let's just be honest. Waymo Cruise, they're not gonna cut it. They're not scalable. It's not there. The technology is not there for them to scale. Tesla is so far ahead that looking at the second place, it's just, I mean, who is second place really? So
Have
then
you
the,
have you driven FSD or have
no,
you
in Canada we
experienced
don't
it?
have it. No, I did the autopilot and I loved it. Autopilot was flipping awesome, but full self driving, all the Teslas that I rented out, um, no, I haven't. They didn't have it. They didn't have it. And in Canada, you
Okay.
can only purchase it one time. There's no monthly payment.
Yeah.
So no, unfortunately not. But you have though. So I mean, I'm curious to know how close is it, from your point of view, from your experience, how close is it to being like almost there? Because I know I was talking to Farzad. He's saying that it's pretty much it's there. It's a matter of when right now. So what's your take?
Um. Yeah. That's. I would say that it's definitely not there yet.
Okay.
Um, and I'm very bullish on it. I would say I'm more bullish than Farzad. Like just to be completely transparent here. Um, it's definitely not there yet. For instance, right now, I don't know how many people have the latest version of FSD. I think they stopped rolling it out, but I'm on 11.4.7.3. Um,
Okay.
and for me, it's much, much worse than 11.4.7.2.
Hmm.
Now, we always have to be nuanced, right? So a lot of people are having extremely, extremely good results with this version. I'm not,
Hmm.
but it's part of the process, right? On the
Yeah.
last version, I went 4 days without any interventions or anything other than when I pulled into a parking lot. 4 days, nothing.
Oh, that's actually really
I
good.
mean, I posted on it on X. You know, I had some comments of people since you tell me I was lying. I'm like, all right, no reason to lie about this. Like this is the dumbest thing to lie about. But all right, like if I'm gonna lie about something, you know, there's gonna be some bags waiting for me. You know, I'm not just gonna lie for no reason. You know, like come on. But but no. So this version, just honestly for me, it's compared to the last version, it's crap.
Hmm.
It's not actually crap. Like it's pretty damn good, but it is doing mistakes that the last version was just butter smooth on them. And so again, I take it all with a grain of salt because for all I know, they're testing something. They're testing something in my geo just because I have the same version as I don't know how many people actually have dot three right now on hardware four, but presumably I have the same version as some other people. At least that's what I think. Maybe I don't. Maybe they're testing something out on, you know, the version I have to compare to someone else. Like you don't know what's happening in the background.
Yeah.
But I still am of the mindset that at by the end of 2024, at the latest, it'll be done.
Yeah. Which is funny because
At the
that's where I have it
latest.
here. That's where I have it here. 2025 starting
Yeah.
50 global revenue right here. But that's it. But do you think that's version 12?
Yeah, I mean it's gonna have to be because version 12 will be the non-beta part. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
But
Because
but that's
I've been
semantics.
thinking, yeah, no, I've been thinking, when are they going to release it? Because I know they said end of the year. Now that they're not saying anything anymore, so
Yeah,
that's
the
the part
updates
that I'm just like,
have slowed. The
hmm,
updates have slowed to a dramatic crawl. So I don't think
wow,
we've had an update in like over a month now. And
hmm,
you know, before they were spitting out the updates pretty regularly. But I think they're hitting some pretty big breakthroughs and they're getting through some things. I'm not in the ball camp. You know, some people think you need to have a front bumper camera. I don't think you need that. Like some people think that because it has to creep out a little extra compared to like a human can just like crank their neck and it's like who cares if it has to creep out a little bit? Like, I really don't care. Like, it's not a big
Yeah.
deal, especially, if I'm in an Uber. I mean, like, a perfect example was, it was my best friend's birthday, and we went out for dinner, and we drove in FSD. Everybody in the car completely forgot it was FSD until we got there, and I took over, and they heard the sound, like, doo doo. That was a horrible impression, but you guys get it. They heard the sound because I was going to the parking lot, and they're like, "Oh shit, I forgot that we were on beta. Completely forgot about that." I'm like, "Yeah, you
That's
get it?
hilarious.
Like, aren't you? Doesn't that make you feel good about your investment? Because everybody has all the energy to reach out to me when it's like, "Hey, what's going on with Tesla? Why is it down?" I'm like,
Mm.
"I don't know. It's a stock market. It's what it does." Like, but nobody reaches out on the up days, or on the
Oh,
positive
never.
news, or any of that.
No,
No.
never, never. No, but that's
Yeah.
interesting that you say that by end of the year, the end of 2024, it's going to be solved. And I got here, 2025 is when they're going to start doing the where anyone who wants to opt in for FSD respectfully in their country, or maybe in just the US or North America alone. I have it here in 2025, and then it just slowly grows until 2030. And
Yeah.
then licensing here, I have 2027 is when it's going to start. And I figure that licensing is going to be much more faster, much faster than in terms of picking up in revenue and profits, because it's just how many cars you got, how many you need, how much, you know what I mean? Like, here's the software, and you just roll in, and this is based on $200 a month. Because
Yeah.
it's really difficult to um, figure out how Tesla's going to license it out. How I did it is me and Oracle sat down. We're like, okay, maybe if you want to keep it simple here, is we take whatever the price is right now monthly, which is 200 a month, and we make the OEMs pay that to us monthly, and they can charge 300 for their customers or whatever they want. But then Boomer Mama was saying, it's like, no, it'll be more towards revenue sharing. So I'm like, you know what? To keep it simple, we'll just do the 200 and then the 300. I think that's more easier to
R-
calculate, and that's how I got these numbers for the
rev,
licensing
rev,
part
revenue sharing with who?
with the OEMs when they license it. So it'll be like, okay, you're gonna license it. Whatever profit you make, you give me like, I don't know, 50% or 60% or 40%, whatever the percentage is going to be agreed upon.
I don't think there'll be any revenue sharing with that at all.
Hmm. Right. So that's
I
the
mean,
thing. Well, I'm going to ask you why, but for me, I really don't know how it's going to be. But what's your thoughts? Why don't you think it's not going to be revenue sharing?
because there's no other choice. It's like Tesla's not revenue sharing with supercharging network, are they?
No, you're not. That's true.
Yes.
Good point.
So it's no different. Like, all right, well, do you want to use our supercharging network or not? Do you want to offer that to your buyers so that they choose to buy your cars so that they can get access to this? Do you want that or not? All right, well, put in our hardware so then you can use it, and you can. We won't charge them extra. We won't do anything. But guess what? Every time they charge, that goes to Tesla. We're not giving you a cut of that.
Yeah.
You crazy? FSD is the same way. It's like, hey, do
Yeah.
you want? It's. Do you think there's any? I mean, maybe that's not a good example, but it's it's like saying, do you want to have the ability for your cars to be autonomous or not? All right. Well, if you
Hmm.
do, then put in these cameras, buy this hardware from us. We'll sell it to you at cost. We're not here trying to charge you anything extra. But at the end of the day, the subscription is for the end consumers. It's not
Yeah.
like Ford has to shell out any cost or anything. Sure, they're putting a little extra money for the hardware, but the hardware doesn't cost that much, a big scheme of things, and Tesla's can sell it at cost. So it's a no
Yeah.
brainer. And for like Ford, GM, that's the difference between, well, do I want to buy a Ford or do I want to buy a Toyota? 'Cause
Hmm.
everybody's not going to buy Tesla. Like that's just a fact.
Yeah.
Like it's, it won't happen. I mean, even like Apple doesn't have the entire smartphone market, but Tesla will have a big portion. But we also need other manufacturers. So The only way that that changes is if there are more than one player with the ability to have this type of software, this type of AI. Then like an Android version, maybe. That's the only way, and maybe that's comma, right? Maybe comma
Yeah,
is that other version, but even then, like how much time between first and second? I would say the bigger that gap is between first and second, the more it's like, well, do you really want to have the like off brand, not as safe or reliable one, or are you going to pay a little extra money just to get the good one? So that you don't have to worry about any potential risk, accidents, injuries. I don't know.
yeah.
I think it's a winner take most market.
Yeah, no, no, that's a valid reason. That's a valid way of doing it. I mean, that's why for me it made more sense for when doing the formula here, whatever Tesla's already charging their customers, you charge that with the OEMs, and then they can
Mhm.
charge whatever they want for their FSD to their customers. That's why that made more sense to me. Revenue sharing for robotaxis, yes, and in this model, I don't have robotaxis at all because I have no idea how to calculate that. But I think you make a really good point, and that's what I'm going based on as well. It seems
Yeah.
like I don't know how they're going to do it.
Yeah. Robotaxi is different. Robotaxing, that's revenue share. That makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yes.
That makes sense because again, this is how quickly can Tesla dominate when it comes to robotaxis. Well, the only way you can quickly dominate is if you bring in the fleet, right? You're not going to dominate just by building your own robotaxis. That'll take too long. And
Yeah.
that's potentially not as cost effective in the big scheme of things when you look at it as a whole business unit. Obviously, you want individual robotaxis, but if these robotaxis are like two-seaters, which could make a lot of sense for them to be two-seaters, because why do you need more than two-seaters? Especially when the majority of anybody's drives are just them by themselves. Sometimes it's two people. All right, maybe you have some kids or whatnot. Okay, unless you have three kids, you have a parent and a kid, you just call two robo taxis up. It's not a big deal. They go together. It's, I don't know. The two-seater thing makes a lot of sense to me for a robo taxi. But anyways, the the dream, the vision has been where people can take their car, put it into the fleet, very much like Uber, but you take the human out of it. It just becomes that much more cost effective. And the more of this that exists out in the robo taxi fleet, the lower the cost is for transportation, which makes it that
Exactly.
much more of a monopoly or a moat, because the lower that cost goes, how does anybody, even if you solve autonomy, if Comma solved it, all right, well, they don't have the manufacturing, they don't have the fleet in existence already, they don't have the hardware out there already. Like, how do you compete on a cost per mile basis? You can't. That means that you have to charge more. Like it's really whoever gets there first. It's really game set match as long as they don't screw it up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's true. That's absolutely
Yeah,
true. Um, yeah. When it
but so
comes to
you
robo
think it all
taxis,
hinges on that, right? You think it all hinges on robotaxis or FSD?
well, no, I didn't even add robo taxis here on this valuation. It's just based off the cool thing about FSD is that once it's solved, all Teslas around the world who want to have FSD can now opt in for it, and then you can license it out to other OEMs, to other manufacturers, just like how I think it was Ron Barron who said recently that it's like Intel chips into like computers. Tesla will be like that for cars. I can
Yeah.
totally see that happening. And then the third thing you got is robotaxi. So you have triple whammy once this thing is solved, and this is going to make immense. These three alone is probably going to be Tesla's 50% of Tesla's valuation by. I mean, and this will continue to grow into 2031, 2032, 2033, and all that kind of stuff. I wouldn't be surprised that it'll get to a point where they make so much money off their full self-driving software that they'll just sell the vehicles at cost, because at this point it's like, okay, if I sell you the car at cost, I can just get you to get FSD. I can get you to get all these things, and that's more profitable. I can see that happening. I don't think they will do that, but I can see that happening. So
Yeah.
that's the cool thing about FSD. And those long term investors, that's what they are betting against. They're betting with that Tesla's going to solve autonomy. And that's how the valuation is going to be until energy comes. Apparently, energy is bigger than the FSD business because it's unlimited. Everybody needs energy. So, and then after that, it's the bot, which I can't comprehend that right now. But yeah, these are the two major things well, three major things, but in this valuation I put only two of them because robotaxis, I have no clue how it's going to work. I have no idea how much per mile they're going to cost. I know Arc is they did that, and by 2027 they're saying 2,000, and I'm just like, that's a sheesh moment right there. I'm like, okay, well, if it happens, it happens, cool, but I don't know if that's I don't think that's realistic unless
So,
robotaxis come around that time. Again, that's so hard to predict.
well, yeah, their basis is off of FSD being solved by mid 2024, and that's essentially how
Yeah.
they get to their 2027. Um, but so to 10x. So just to be clear, you're just saying that's energy, autos, and FSD. No
Yes.
robotaxis, no humanoid. Um, but you are saying licensing. There's licensing as part of that.
Yeah.
So okay,
Yeah.
okay,
So
gotcha. And,
yeah. So licensing and FSC being solved. No robotaxis. Energy vehicles. So that's only four parts of Tesla's business. That would give you, if they're doing just a little bit over 13 million deliveries by 2030. I know they're gonna say, no man, it's 20 million by 2030. I don't think it's gonna be 20 million by 2030. Maybe by 2032 that makes sense. I mean, I think that would make more sense, and to keep things conservative. Um, Maybe 24% gross profits, maybe that's a bit too high. But I think with the compact car coming out, and I'm pretty sure they're going to have like another vehicle coming after that, which is cheaper than a compact car, like competing like BYD level, like 10K, 15K. But I mean, that could also be the Robo Taxi too. Either way, I do think that they'll have another car coming that's cheaper than the compact car, and they'll have their cogs so low because they're mass producing so much, they'll benefit from economy of scale so much that the vehicle gross profit is going to be massive. I mean, ARC is saying as high
yeah,
as 50%. I don't know how they're getting that number, but I'm saying 24%. And even for me, I mean, maybe because I'm looking at it today, today's like 17%, 16% on the average for 2023. Maybe 24% looking at it now seems to be too high. But then, 2030 is going to be a different timeline than what we are now. Maybe interest rates won't be as high. Maybe demand will come up. Maybe Tesla will have cars that are like 20,000, 15,000, and they could sell it at a high profit because their costs are so low. So all this is taken into place. And yeah, with the FSD, with the energy, all that kind of stuff, that's a revenue of over $700 billion, which is absolutely nuts. We have a net income gap of over 200 billion, non-gap just a little bit 208 billion with no buybacks. I'm still saying they're diluting. Most likely that they are going to do buybacks if they're making like 60, 90, 50 billion dollars a year. For sure they're going to do a buyback. There's no question about that. With a 35 PE, that's like almost a 7 trillion, valuation. That's a 10x from today. If
yeah.
all of this comes true.
So all right. So I'm. Let me. Sorry, my like body's all tight. I just got back from a workout, so I'm like fidgeting. Um, I don't think they'll come out with another lower cost vehicle. I
No?
think it makes no sense. If you have robo taxis, it makes zero sense to have a lower cost vehicle. There's no need for it. To your point, you're going to be charging on the robo taxi by the mile. Like it just makes more sense to drop that cost. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, I don't know. I just don't see the point of it. I mean, even Elon was barely entertaining the idea of making this $25,000 vehicle, right? He
Yeah,
just
that's
wanted to
true.
have a robo taxi. So to get him to be on board for that, it would just be silly. They may make another robo taxi that's more cost effective, just a, but they'll probably just iterate on it just to drop the price. But
Yeah.
that's my theory. But take a step back because everybody talks about like when Tesla will 10x or whatnot, but and people think that ARK Invest is crazy for 2027 saying 2000. And don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, like 10x in a matter of a couple of years, few years, like that does sound crazy. Like I get that. But these things happen before they happen,
Oh yeah.
right?
Oh
Meaning
yeah. Yeah. 100%.
yeah, like when it becomes pretty clear that FSD is about to be solved, that they're right there, the stock's going to run before that
Oh
happens.
yeah. Yep.
And so that's where I think their 2000 kind of makes a lot of sense, because there's going to be a run up, right? People are going to try to get ahead of it. Y-
Hmm.
it's no different. I mean, you see it with earnings for companies left and right. The stocks for companies where people think that they're going to have a good results, they run up beforehand,
Oh
right?
yeah.
And that's just like a little example. So I definitely think we can run up well ahead of time before 2030. Especially, I mean, it doesn't have to be FSDs worldwide. It doesn't have to be that there's licensing agreements. If they solve it, if
That's
they
it.
solve it, and I'm sitting here in North America just going everywhere, and I'm like, guys, it's been 2 weeks and I haven't touched anything, not in a parking lot, not anything. Like that's going to be huge,
Yeah. It's gonna be
right?
massive. Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to send the stock running. Like it's not going to be any more of like, oh, Tesla's doing experiments. Like, no, look how many
Yeah.
miles we've gone without any accidents.
It's the same thing. What happened in 2020? As soon as Tesla was positive cash flow, and
Yeah,
they knew that, oh, EVs are now the thing. Whatever we said the last 7 years, which was from 2013 till 2019. That's when the stock was flat. Like if you would have bought at the peak of 2013 and held till 2019, you actually would have lost 20%, and you would have been pissed off like Bojack. You would have been really pissed off because you held the stock for 5 years, and not only has it appreciated, it went down 20%. But if you held this one more year, it would have been a life-changing situation because Tesla was cash flow positive. We had a massive short squeeze. The whole market, the whole narrative now suddenly changed overnight that, oh, EVs are now going to be the thing, and that's that's all you need. That's all you need right now. If we can have, like you said, if ARC is saying 2027, 2000, and they think that FSD gets solved, if the whole narrative, because right now no one is looking at it, oh, FSD is just a thing, it's not going to happen, it's a scam, blah 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 blah. But as soon as this thing gets solved and it's about to happen, we can easily see this gap that Tesla has hit. It's going to shrink. The gap's going to shrink, and everyone's going to go like, I didn't know that it's going to 10x. I mean, I wish someone told me that like 5 years ago, and I would have bought some shares. Not financial advice, by the way, but this is how especially Tesla stock. This is how especially Tesla stock behaves. It stays flat for a long time because they're working on innovative stuff. But as soon as something is about to get solved or something is about to happen that they've been doing, it's going to pop. Now, will it be 10x? No one knows. Will it be 5x, 4x, 3x? It won't know. But I do believe, and I strongly do believe that there's going to be a jump. What you guys see here on the screen here, it's a gradual increase, which Tesla doesn't do. That Tesla does not gradually increase in their stock price. That's just not how the stock behaves. I just do it here based on the valuation, how the stock would be worth at that time. Tesla, here's the thing, Tesla is hard to evaluate. It's one of those
yeah.
stocks, one of those companies that, how do you evaluate a car company, an energy company, and an AI company? Uh, that type of company never existed before. So how do you put it on a spreadsheet, and how do you evaluate it properly? You can't. If this was like Microsoft, okay, you can probably, um, compare it with Google or maybe Apple at some level. But Tesla, which other company out there is doing energy, AI, and vehicles? Like
So
there's none.
I do think there is a way to properly evaluate it, but it's not going to be through an Excel sheet. It won't be
It's
the
tough.
way. And you know what? Before I explain what I mean by that, so to your point, I wrote this a couple days ago. People in a few years, quote, why didn't I invest in Tesla? It was so obvious, end quote. And I've heard this with every single property I ever bought. I've been told, "Oh, you're stupid. That's silly. Why would you buy there? You know, that's the
Mm.
ghetto. All this stuff, or like it's a bad area." And now, everyone's like, "Oh my God, you got so lucky." I'm like, "What's not luck?" You know, and I said when I went all in with Apple and then Amazon and then Tesla, it was the same thing over and over every single time. But every single time it also started with people telling me it's a bad idea. It wasn't a good idea. That I'm making a mistake. And so the way I see it, to evaluate it, like where I live now, people think that I am like a you know 100 millionaire because of where I live. And I'm like, well, I'm not. That's not the case. It's just when I first discovered this area, I literally went up and down to every restaurant and bar, and I spoke to the waiters, the bartenders, and I got to feel what's going on here. Like what's like I feel an energy. There's a vibe going on here. Like and everybody said the same thing. It's blowing up. It's going crazy. Like it's so organic and all this stuff. I'm like, okay, okay. And I was listening. And that's essentially how I decided, to buy real estate where I did. But same thing with Apple. When I invested in the Apple, this was before the iPhone. I was in love with the iPod, in love. And then I
Mm.
decided I wanted to invest. And my father at the time got me into the stock market, and I hadn't bought anything. I was like trying to do all my research, trying to find the right stock to invest in and all that. And I almost invested in Microsoft, because
Mm.
there was this Surface table. It's like a coffee table, and it had this touch screen. You could like split your bills and restaurant stuff. I'm like, this is so cool. And then that trying to research this touchscreen technology, I think it was like Corning, if I remember right, Corning glass. That led me down to these rumors about Apple with their, they had an announcement of a date that was coming up, that there's rumors that they're going to be releasing a phone with a touchscreen. And I was like, oh, that's what I want to invest in, because everybody's obsessed with their phones. I was obsessed with iPods. I'm like, that's what I want. So
Mm.
I put all my money into that. But that wasn't something I could put in a spreadsheet. That was me understanding Apple, the love, the beauty of it, the experience, with the iPod spinning around the dial, the click, 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 click. Like it was just so,
Mm.
there was something. Amazon, same thing. Being able to get your deliveries whenever you want. Like to this day, nobody can tell me there's a better returning return experience than Amazon. Returning things with Amazon is so easy. Buying things with Amazon is so easy. It's so fast. It's so
Yeah.
quick. But that's not, again, something I could put into a spreadsheet. I can't quantify that, right?
Yeah,
It's
that's true.
it's an experience. It's a feel. You see what's going on. And then Tesla, same thing, right? People talk about all the time, butts and seats, FSD, right? My experience
Yeah.
every single day I use FSD. I just got done saying, right? I'm here to be honest. It's the version I have right now. It sucks compared to the last one. I still use it every single day, every single drive. I use it. Like, and when I'm saying it sucks, it's because I'm comparing it to what I had before, which was pristine to me. So it's when I say it sucks, it doesn't mean it sucks. I have a higher standard now for it, right? Because I've seen
Yeah.
what it could do. But I still use it every single day. Every single drive I have, I use it because it's more
It's
convenient
crazy.
and it's safer. Today, it's like that.
Yeah,
So
it's crazy.
I think you can quantify these companies. I think you can evaluate them, but it's not always going to be on a spreadsheet because you can't. It's impossible
Mm.
to. And I think
Yeah, that's a
that's what
really good
so
point.
many people miss. They miss the product, the experience, it's I don't know. It's like you always see it too with these up and coming places. Like before they're up and coming, like they're really cool to like the hipsters and the artsy people, and they discover these cool locations, and then they make it cool, and then all of a sudden money comes in, and people are like, oh my god, like how did I miss this? And it's like it happens over and over. So I'll stop ranting, but so that's where I would say like you can definitely evaluate it, but it's not going to be on an Excel sheet.
No, man, I love the renting. I love that. I love it. The thing is, and the first time I drove a Tesla, It was in 2019. Yes, 2019. It was the Model S Plaid. Yeah, Model S Plaid 2020.
Plaid?
First time. Yeah, Plaid. I think it was a 2020 model, and it was no 2019. No 2021. 2021. 2021.
Okay. Yeah, I think
Oh
the
no,
Plaid came out in 21.
no 2022. It was last year. Sorry, just this Corona thing. 2 years.
Oh, I
I
know.
didn't go
Yeah, I
anywhere.
get it.
I was stuck in Kuwait for. It was ridiculous. 2022. That's when I rented it out, and it was like, oh, the first time sitting in the S Plaid. Okay. And I made a video about it on YouTube too. Put my reaction to that because my first time ever sitting in one. And then, so I sat in it and I'm like, whoa, there's no buttons whatsoever. It's just two screens. Visibility is insanely good. The thing is with the car, it's long and wide. And I cannot drive long and wide cars. And this thing was long and wide. And I'm just like, I'm definitely going to crash. I'm definitely going to get a scratch. Oh man, this is terrible. But because it has 8 cameras and it shows you all the time where you are on the road, I'm like, dude, this is like driving a mini car, like a mini car. It was freaking awesome. But that first drive that I went out of the neighborhood, I'm just like, oh man, this is smooth. This is a different feel. And I concluded after driving it for 2 days that this is not a car. This is it's not a car. It's a robot. It's something else. And the experience, man, I was so sad giving that car back. And then going, and here's the thing: when I gave that car back and I went back to my Mitsubishi, oh my god, it's like sitting in a dinosaur. I'm like, visibility is crap. Freaking, there's buttons everywhere. I mean, I have to like check my blind spot every time to do something. I'm like, no, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah, I tell you that blind spot camera is so
It's
convenient.
key. It's
It's
key. And
it took a while to like not use my mirror. Like I don't ever use my mirrors anymore. I just look at the
that's
screen
crazy.
and it's just like it's gonna sound so lazy, but it's just less effort. Like it's
Yeah.
just my eyes just moving. Oh, okay, oh, we're good. And it's not. I'm
Yeah.
not never changing lanes. Really, it's the car that's doing it because I'm always in FSD. But you still got to double check because But yeah, it's just I just gotta look there, confirm. We're good.
Yeah, no, it's a different feel, it's a different experience. And those Tesla bears, I am very convinced that Tesla bears that are out there, that they have never sat in a Tesla car. They don't know the difference between a Ford Mach-E and an actual Tesla because they never sat in one. And so, if Tesla bears are watching this, please just rent out a Model Y, no, Model 3 through Toro, cheaper than a Toyota. You'll be surprised. Rent it out for a day or two and just see how it is. It's not a car. That's all I gotta say. And
So
9 out of 10, your impression of what the company is, not just the car, what the company is gonna differ. You're gonna see a bigger goal and ambition after sitting in a Tesla. That's all I gotta say.
so I have this philosophy of life,
Okay.
and it says that you should never really have a strong opinion on anything if you
Okay.
can't at least make the other ma- make the argument against your opinion. Because if you can't make the
Okay.
argument against your opinion, then you probably haven't thought about your own opinion that hard. So, my question for you, because I know you've thought about all this a lot, how would you straw man the Tesla Bears argument? How would you like? What's your understanding of it? How would if I told you we're in a debate, you have to be the bear. How would you how would you approach it as a bear? Why Tesla is overvalued? It's a hype. It's a story stock. It's not going to happen, etc. Like, how would you defend that?
So if I'm a bear and I'm going against the company, okay,
Yes.
yeah, there's many points you can say. Um, One of the points that I would say is that well, competition is coming. Tesla had to reduce prices to sell volume because the competition was eating away their market share. FSD, I mean, Cruise and Waymo was way ahead of them because they're already in cities, they're already doing it, while Tesla's not doing it already.
But you don't actually believe in those. So I'm
No.
saying like something that you could actually be convinced on.
Oh, something that I am convinced of.
Yeah.
Oh, something that
So,
I am
something that's
actually.
like I'll give you an example. FSD. we may not get there. It's possible that we don't
Mm,
get there. It's 100% possible, right? And if
okay.
that doesn't play out, then yeah, we're probably going to be in trouble, right? Especially if you're an all-in investor. So that's a big deal. And then also, I could also say, um, if there is now, I don't believe this was happening, but if there is a change of heart or desire for electric vehicles, right? If there's a just cultural momentum switch where people all of a sudden want to
Mm,
go back towards something else, well, that would be a big problem as well, right?
okay,
And
now I
then
understand
also
what you're trying
there
to
could
say.
be a
Yeah.
breakthrough. There could be a big breakthrough in solid state where they can manufacture it quickly, and Tesla doesn't have that, right? That could be another. Yeah. So like, how do you think through those things? Like actual,
Okay.
not things that we know are like, all right, competition's coming. Yeah, really, where is it? You know.
Okay.
So I'm
So
just
I get
curious.
what you
Yeah.
mean. Yeah. So one big argument is that, as you just said, is maybe we're not going towards an EV world. That's a good that's a big one. Although the data is saying something else, but as a Tesla bear, yeah, EVs people, EVs are not that realistic because we don't have enough chargers, we don't have enough minerals out there, and maybe the consumer doesn't want an EV. They want to have their gas car, and they prefer it over that. I know Peter Zion came out recently and said all that, but that's I think the biggest argument towards it is like maybe people don't want EVs. For example, I'm in Kuwait right now. There's no EVs.
Yeah.
There's no EVs at all. In UAE, if you go there, 30% of it is all Teslas, mainly Teslas, and they have a good infrastructure there. But here in Kuwait, there's no EVs, and
What doesn't make sense to really?
it doesn't make sense. Even though electricity here is I mean, if you want to fuel it from 0% to 100%, it's like maybe $1. If you want to convert it to US dollars, it's very cheap here. But gas is also cheap here too. It's like zero. Like if you're fueling from zero to fuel, empty to full, it's like $15. It's
Hmm.
extremely cheap. So it's like maybe not all parts of the world wants to go EV, especially a country like Kuwait where 50-60% of their whole GDP is coming from oil. Maybe they want to
Oil.
keep it like
Yeah.
that, right? So that's a very big one. That's a very some places EVs won't happen. Now I've met people here who have Teslas, and I did interview them, and they love it. They don't want to go back to gas cars, but there's a lot of inconvenience with it. For example, if the battery gets messed up or the axle gets messed up, something that needs to be shipped back to Tesla to fix, you have to put it on a boat, ship it to UAE,
Mm.
and then wait for
Oh.
yeah, it's a ridiculous procedure. If that wasn't the case, I probably would have been driving an EV here. Maybe not even because gas is just
Well,
so convenient here.
why is that? Has Tesla or is Tesla just hasn't built centers there, or are they not
Yeah, they're
allowed?
not here at all. No, they're not here at all. They're so how Kuwait works is if you want to come here, you have to have a partner to do it, and it
Mm.
has to be a 51% ownership locals, 49% foreigners, whoever they are. That's the rule here. And all the car dealerships here, instead of doing this 51%, 49%, what they do is like, okay, you know what? You go there. I'll give you my license to make the dealership there, whether it's Toyota, Honda, whatever. I will sell you the cars and you guys sell it. So the dealership will mark it up. Crazy. Like Toyotas here are more expensive than BMWs. Can you believe that?
That's crazy.
Toyotas in freaking Kuwait is more expensive than a luxury car. It's ridiculous because they're reliable and they last longer. So, but Tesla's like, no, I don't want to do this, partnership. I don't even have dealerships. So I don't know what you guys want the dealership for. So that's what's going on right now. With in UAE, you're free. You can do whatever you want. You can go there, make your own company, own 99% of the land, and own 100%, no partner, nothing. But here in Kuwait, unfortunately, that's how it is. And I know I'm hearing some rumors that they are planning to bring it in without a partner because I mean, every country is begging Tesla to come
Yeah.
in. You're right. So, and yeah, the infrastructure is not here either for EVs. So if people want to switch to an EV, we do have local charging stations made by local companies here, but they're extremely slow and they're garbage. Majority of the people here in Kuwait are expats. 3 out of 4 million people living here are foreigners. Only 1 million of it is locals, and the majority of people live in apartments. And we don't have outlets to charge cars. So there's a lot of parts of the world that EVs just infrastructure isn't there, and to build it, you need to have a lot of capital. And that's one argument that I can say that I think is valid as a bear. That not every place will have EVs. Developed
Yeah.
nations, 100%, but third world countries, you need to have the infrastructure, which they're not. It's not here at least yet. The second thing is,
Yeah.
as a bear, um, is I would say is um, yeah, I guess just the FSD thing. Just the FSD. Yeah, the FSD doesn't work. But even if it doesn't work, I still think that Tesla would be, will be valued a couple trillion because of energy. Um, yeah, that's what I believe. But FSD is the main thing. I mean, if FSD flops, as Elon said it himself, Tesla is worthless. So all hands on
Yeah.
deck for FSD.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why with the FST thing, like it's a real possibility, right? Of course, it's a real possibility because we're trying to solve a problem that's never been done before. But
Yeah,
just this is why to me it was so important that I had it, especially from an investment perspective, because I need to
mm,
see the truth. I need to see it every day. I want to know where we're at. Um, it's just so obvious to me. Like it's beyond obvious that they're gonna get there. I don't know when they're gonna
yeah,
get there. I think I'm like convinced that it'll be next year, but I don't really know. What I do know is that they will get there. Like they will. 100% it's gonna happen. But
yeah.
people don't know that yet. People don't know that it's going to happen yet. Some
That's the
people think it's
problem.
impossible.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The thing is, what the stock market is really good at doing, and
Is it good at
this doesn't
anything?
have. Well, if there's one thing that they're really good at doing is not just Tesla stock. It's for every stock. It can stay flat for a long time. It can go down for a long time. But if there's a breakthrough with the company, if there is a sector of the company that's about to succeed, that's about to turn, it pops, and it's an overnight success.
Yeah.
That's what the stock market does. Look at Nvidia, man. Nvidia, this last quarter, Q4 2022, the guidance, they came out and they said, yeah, we're expecting like a double or triple in EPS, and the stock just went up like 20% overnight, 20-30% overnight, and I'm just like, what happened here? So Tesla will have this moment. I mean, it did have its moment in 2020 because of EVs, but it will have this moment again as soon as FSD becomes, as we mentioned earlier in this
Yeah.
discussion, that as soon as FSD, you know, gets solved, or just it's about to get solved, now all of a sudden all these analysts and Wall Street institutions will go like, oh, wait a minute, this thing is real. Okay, now we got to add it to our spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And oh man, if they do this, oh, this stock is cheap, and it'll just run up like crazy. That's the one good thing that the stock market does. Stock market does reward you. It does give you an overnight success, but you got to wait 5-6 years for it, 7 years for it. And you got to believe. That's the hard part. It's hard to see your money go down 50%. It really is. But if you believe and like me, I just buy more shares, and I know one day the one pop's gonna come, whether it's because FSD gets solved or Robotaxi is coming out, whatever it is, that pop is gonna come, and whatever the price I bought it for, which was even right now 200, 300, whatever it is, it's gonna look like a bargain at that time. So that's the one thing that the stock market does. It's not for everyone because most people live paycheck to paycheck and they need money. But if you can be disciplined and have belief and be committed, you'll be rewarded.
How do you do that? How do you stay discipline? When I say you, I mean Peggy. How does like what are your methods, tactics? How do you budget? Do you allocate money to your investments certain amount a month? Do you I know a lot of people in the Middle East are a lot smarter than us in the West, and they have family businesses and they pull resources together, and they just live a lot smarter in my the way in my opinion. Like, what's how do you guys do things? How do you do things?
So So here in Kuwait, one big massive advantage that we have is we don't pay taxes. Zero. Like
Mm.
nothing. If you make 100 grand, you keep 100 grand. There's nothing like in Toronto. If you made 100 grand, you got to pay at least 30% just in
And
taxes alone.
you're not seen as an expat, so you don't have any like expat
No, I am an
taxes or
expat.
anything.
I am no, no, we don't have.
Oh,
No, no, we don't
so
have.
there's no
It's not like
expat
they.
taxes in Kuwait.
Nope, nope,
Oh,
not
that's
yet. At least, I mean that
yeah. As I
there
say,
are
that's
rumors.
rare.
Yeah, I know as U.S. citizens, they have to pay taxes anywhere they are around the world because they have to link to their own bank. But Canadians, we don't have that, not yet at least. So anything you make, it's just zero tax. It's just, and
Mm.
it's a blessing. So that right there is massive savings. And I do have a company in Canada, which I do all these YouTube stuff, and I do have a couple properties there as well. So I live like crap. First of all, like I don't. I'm wearing. I last time I went and I bought myself a T-shirt and pants was maybe 2 years ago. The rest of the whatever new I get it from either from my birthday gift or whatever. I don't shop. My expenses are extremely low. I also live with parents because I'm here in the Middle East. So that I have all these massive savings, and I'm just like, okay, I live like crap. Um, I don't have much responsibility yet. So I believe into Tesla, and so go all in, man. Just go all in. If I do have a very big um what's that word, conviction on Tesla. Before I went all in into Tesla stock, I was diversified in many dividend stocks, and I was bringing in about 1,000 a month just on that alone, and I was okay with that. But then I'm like, at the end of the day, it's like I'm only making 8-9%. I mean, that's good, but Tesla's the next Tesla, man. With all the
Yeah.
valuations that I did, I'm like, it'll be stupid not to go all in. Now, obviously, there's a risk, as we mentioned. Maybe EV adoption doesn't happen, maybe FSC doesn't happen, but I am under the impression that it is going to happen. The data says it is going to happen. FSD is getting better every day, so I'm at a point right now with my Tesla stock. I think I keep it public. I have around 715 shares of it, and I'm starting to slow down on it because I am trying to build money, take more savings into it to get a property. Because yeah, man, gotta increase your responsibilities one way or the other. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's how I do it. Live below your means. If you guys are watching this and you guys think trying to save, live well below your means. I know at least in Toronto and Florida, it's expensive. It's really is expensive. If I were in your shoes, I would literally move to like a different place and probably live with roommates so I could keep my costs down to keep savings
If you were in
and
my
try to
shoes
avoid
or the viewer.
the viewers, if they're trying to. I know you're good, but
I was gonna say my wife would not like that.
yeah, yeah. Well, no,
Hey,
if you're
want to
married, it's
move in with some
different.
roommates?
No, no, no. Like if you're still single and you don't have much responsibility and you can be more
Yeah.
flexible. Yeah, go live with roommates, go out of town. You know, just live well below your means. Save, get a foundation, and start investing. Because I know a
What
lot
does
of
that
people,
mean?
man.
What does that
Which
mean?
part
Below
mean?
your means? Like, can you quantify that? Below your means?
Yeah,
Like,
so if your rent is 2,500, for example, and you have like 3 bedrooms and a nice kitchen, you don't need 3 bedrooms. Personally, for me, if I would have to go back and
mhm.
live in Canada, I would literally rent someone's basement. What is it, 1,000 a month? Yeah, I'll just go in
Yeah.
someone's basement. and start continue, because what I don't like is paycheck to paycheck. I hate it. It gets you nowhere. It's very frustrating and it's very stressful. And you're only one paycheck away. If you lost your job, you what are you gonna do? And you don't have any savings. I know so many people like that. It's a very difficult place to be. So it's better to live below your means. You don't need a 2,500 or 2,000 condo when you can just go live in someone's basement for like 1,000. That's $1,000 in savings right there. You don't need to have a car when buses are there, right? You're eliminating like $500-600 a month right there. So you're saving right off the bat $1,500 just off that, and just cut down on things that you don't need for a temporary time. I'm not saying forever, for a temporary time, so you
Yeah.
can save and invest and let your investments grow and let your investments pay for your life. For me personally,
Yeah.
for me, I've never found buying a home as an investment because it's just too much expense. Your property tax, and then you got like so much work around the house, and it's like, how is this? Like, I'm not comfortable like that. I'd rather take that money, go rent it somewhere, put that money into Tesla stock, let that money 10x, and then if I want to get a house, I'll get it in cash. So that's
So
my way of thinking.
yeah. So I agree with a lot that you just said there. I my rule of thumb to anybody who's watching, I don't care how much you make. Doesn't matter. Whatever you take home for a year, right? So after taxes, after if you put into your 401k, after all that, whatever you take home, you were to live on half of that, fifty
Oh, at
percent of
least.
that.
Yeah.
That's my rule of thumb is that you only spend what's half. The other half you save, you invest. That's my rule of thumb. And from there, like if you just it doesn't matter. I don't care what the numbers are. I don't care how much you pull in. That's what you live off of because from there to your point, you're never going to be stressed about being paycheck to paycheck. You're never going to stress about what happens if I get into an accident in my car and I need to repair. You're never going to worry about if your kid needs you know, some field trip and you can't afford, all those things go away. Now, you may, to your point, not live in the nicest place that you like. You may have a longer commute to get to your work. You may have some inconveniences, but those inconveniences pale in
Mm.
comparison to being stressed about your money, being paycheck to
Oh yeah,
paycheck, and
100%.
knowing every night when you go to bed, knowing you're not getting ahead. You're not getting ahead at all. Where at least if you have those inconveniences, maybe you don't have the luxuries, you at least know that it's to your point, it's temporary. When I say temporary, I'm saying like, you know, maybe 5, maybe 7 years. Get yourself right. Make yourself more valuable. Get a higher paying job. Invest your money. Let that money grow. Right? Like, set yourself up. Um, but yeah, I couldn't agree more. The only thing I disagree with is the house. I think a house,
Really.
you're right to an extent.
Mm.
Um, I I've never rented. I've always
Really.
owned. So yeah, when
Okay.
I graduated college, I moved back to where I grew up. Actually, where Ava is from.
Hmm.
Tesla Ava, I forget her name, but yeah, we actually she lives where I grew up. But I
Okay.
moved back there. I bought a house right away, and I had two of my college friends come and rent from me.
Oh,
So
there we
my
go. That's
mortgage
nice. Yeah,
was
that's good.
1,700 a month. They're paying me 2,000 a month. Well, 2,000 together, 1,000 each.
So
So
okay. That's that.
so
Making money.
they're yeah, exactly. So I've always believed in like arbitraging where you live. So I think even where I live now, before I met my wife, before she moved in, I always had I always had a roommate. I always charged
There we
them,
go.
and yeah. So in that way, I think buying a house makes a lot of sense because I'm
Yes.
not just relying on the equity of the house or the
Hmm.
value of the area. I'm also generating cash flow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's
depends how you
important.
go
If you
about it.
if you can own it and also rent it out, and like the arbitrage you just did, yeah, that's actually in your benefit if you can do it. But most people, they don't do that. And right now, because interest rates are so high, renting is cheaper than getting a mortgage. In
It
Canada, we
is.
don't. It's ridiculous. In
That's
Canada,
crazy.
we don't have like how you guys have in the US,
30-year
30
mortgages.
year. We don't have
Yeah.
that. We only have 5 years. Imagine next year if interest rates are still high next year, and and those guys who are fixed at like 2%, now they're gonna end up paying 6%, triple. Good luck. Good luck.
So
I had a friend of mine who just sold his home because he's on variable. He said, I just can't. I was paying 2,000. Now I'm gonna have to pay 7,000 a month. Where am I gonna get the extra
so
5,000?
so every 5 years you have to refinance.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's crazy.
it's
Yeah,
insane.
that's yeah. We're definitely fortunate here in that respect.
Yeah,
Um,
30 years is a
at
blessing,
least,
man.
yeah, at least the people who locked in. I mean, it's but you're right. You hit the nail on the head there. It is. In I'm sure there's been other times, but since you and I've been alive, there has never been a situation where it was cheaper to rent than to have a more. I mean, I guess it depends what we're looking at, right? But
Yeah.
in general, right now, for a given house, if you were to rent that house or if you were to buy it, have a mortgage on it, that same house, it's probably cheaper to rent it, and that's
Yeah.
crazy. That's
Yeah.
it's always been insane. Yeah. So let's take a step back because you're talking about the U.S. and why we're lucky with 30-year mortgage, and
Yeah.
we are lucky here in the States, and for many reasons, in many ways, um, we're also sheltered in many ways. I think one of the big um, I don't know, travesties about a lot of people in the United States that they've never really seen what poverty, hardship looks like. They've
Okay.
never really been to a country where it's like, you know, life is actually hard there. And so I
Mm.
think a lot of people get spoiled here. That they make things that aren't a problem. And it's like, man, if
Okay.
you just plucked yourself out of the United States for a week, and I dropped you in somewhere else, like you would have an eye-opening
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%.
experience. And so I think
100%.
we're very spoiled in many ways here, and I think that's led to a lot of I don't know, again, like these BS issues and problems that we have here, and one that I see so plainly is with someone like Elon. And so where I'm going with this is I'm curious to hear your take on this. But right now we have Elon. People see him, depending, and unfortunately it's tied to politics, but people see him as a bigot, as a racist, as a
Mhm.
ultra right conservative guy. Other people see him as this tree hugging, guy that he doesn't get it. That he's above the rules, all this stuff. Meanwhile, you see, and that's here in the United States. Meanwhile, from my perspective, he's reestablished the United States as a dominant auto manufacturer in the world. We had
Mhm.
lost that. We invented the automobile, and then our companies went bankrupt. Then we became irrelevant, and then Elon brought us back. We were the first ones to the moon. We had arguably the best space program in the world. Maybe it was number two to Russia, but we were up there. We lost complete supremacy of that. Then
Yeah.
Elon comes to SpaceX, brings it all
Yep.
back. Right
Pretty
now,
much.
we're dominant, and now we're doing things with energy. We're doing things with FSD, with AI, all this stuff. Even Twitter, now X, and it's just so much hate against him in our own country. Meanwhile, every other leader of every other country is trying to court him to come do business, to have good
Mhm.
relationships with him. People outside the states, there's no, it's not like it's this I don't know, this bifurcation that we have here in the states about like we like Elon or we hate Elon. You don't see that really outside the states, at least in my experience. So, as somebody who currently in Kuwait, lives in Canada, has lots of family all around the world, I'm sure. What's your take on this? Like, is it like we are just on some weird drug in the United States and we don't know how good we have it because we're spoiled, or is it something else? Like, what's wrong with us from your point of view?
Oh, that's an easy answer. That's an easy answer. There's too much influence through the media. Most people can't think for themselves. They can't. So when they turn on the news and they see, oh, Elon did this. Oh, Elon bad. Elon is bad. Oh, he doesn't like union. He doesn't like to do union. He doesn't like unions. Bad Elon. Oh, he has a factory in China. Bad. No, he's supporting China, not the U.S. You know, I think it comes down to people's common sense and people's way of thinking. If people just literally, if they actually thought, and they sat back and they zoomed out and they see who this Elon Musk really is, they would say, "Holy damn, this is a blessing." But no, most people can't think for themselves. I mean, people all around the world, like you said, are begging Elon to bring Tesla to their country. I mean, the US has got two gigafactories, massive factories. So I don't think it's what's it's the people. Well, again, people can't think for themselves, so they rely on the news. That's what I think. That's really because the news is very manipulating. I'll tell you that. I stopped watching the news. The news. The last time that I stopped watching the news was when Russia invaded Ukraine. And I was so scared when that happened, man. I actually thought that World War II was actually going to happen. Like, I was actually really scared at that time. But then I realized that, I mean, it's contained, first of all. And anything that's coming out of it, it's just what they want you to know, what the media wants you to know. And the facts, you have to go dig and look for yourselves. I'm not going to bring it up here, but the facts, you got to go look into yourselves. Same thing with this Israel and Hamas thing. When this thing happened, and I'm in the region, I mean,
Yeah.
I wasn't afraid. I'm like, it's nothing's gonna happen. And it's not just Elon. I think it's with majority of people who change the world. Unless they side with the media, because right now Elon hasn't sided with any of them. Unless he sides with them, then they'll have a good picture. Then, oh, Elon, yeah, he's doing this. Yeah, he's self-driving car, best car. Right now, they're going like, no, 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 no. Ford is better. The GM, the Bolt, even though it's been discontinued, is better. Elon bad. He's doing this with that. He's talking to this. Elon's bad. No, he's bad. FSD's killing people. Elon's bad. Right. So there's a lot of politics into it for sure, but and if I want to zoom out even more, it's not just Elon. I also think there's a lot of Americans that don't appreciate what America is doing globally. I think I have to point this out. I am very happy and I'm very fortunate that we are in a time where we've gone through 80 years of peace, all because of the United States. It's simple. With NATO, with with the Japan and Korea agreement. If the U.S. did not intervene, but if the U.S. did not bring two strike carrier groups into this region, things would have been much worse. You would have seen Iran get involved, Hezbollah probably come, but now because you got two massive carriers, they're deterred. They're not going to do anything because it's just not worth it. So
Yeah.
I think um, obviously adversaries are not going to like this, but it's not about them. It's about keeping the world in a peaceful state, and the U.S. has done a very good job doing that. Yes, there's some things that they've done that no one's happy with, even themselves, but for majority of the time, I'm very happy to have a country like the United States to keep the world the way it is. Like, it's peaceful. You can, keep this free world going on. Like what Elon said with the interview with Lex Friedman is that after World War II, the U.S. could have got any country they wanted to, but they did the exact opposite. They went and they rebuilt the country. They rebuilt it.
Yeah.
other countries. Imagine if it was Russia. Imagine, oh wow, look at this, we got all this time to take over the world, you know. But no. So I think it just goes back to what people are being um, taught to know. What it's most people can't think for themselves. So that's the unfortunate reality. They turn on the news. Oh, that's what's happening. I gotta believe that. But there's always two sides of the story, and there's always a goal for them to let you know what they want you to know. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, no, that's good. Um, so do you think it's unique to the United States that we're so divided? I mean, I know it seems like everybody always says each each year goes by, the United States never been so divided, all that. I mean, it's I I,
Ah,
I kind of think we're becoming less divided right now. To be honest,
mm,
I think a lot of people are like this might be controversial. Trump getting elected, I think, was less divisive than what people think it was because people had to kind of come together to get him elected, right? People who
yeah,
normally wouldn't have voted for a Republican chose to vote Republican. So, that kind of brought people together. But the reason I think now that we're kind of becoming a little more unified is because people are getting a little tired of a lot of this like extreme stuff, right? Or this, I don't know, just like every little thing. Like you just see with Elon, he's just the easy example. People are getting tired of like every little thing that the guy does, like is painted as this evil thing or corrupt, and it's like he's literally like the most centered person that there is.
yeah.
I'm not saying everything he does is right or I agree with every little thing he says, but it's like objectively, like what's he done that's bad? Like I objectively can't think of a single thing he's done that's bad or with bad intent. I mean, he even when he sold stock, he could have done it in many ways that would have netted him more revenue. He could have paid less taxes on it, but he didn't. He did it in the worst way for himself, where he paid the most taxes. I mean, I don't know. It's just weird that we're in this moment where whatever happens with this next election in the United States is going to say a lot because I've seen it as kind of we've rotated 180 where it seems like now the Democrats used to be the party of peace and love and free speech and acceptance.
Mm.
Now they're the war hawks. They're the ones that want to go to war, and they're the ones that don't want free speech. And I'm sitting here scratching my head, like, what just happened? Like, is anybody else seeing this? Like, this is
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah, no. The division thing. When I look back at the US's history, there's always been this divide when it comes
Yeah.
to president. Yeah, this thing's always been there. Oh, this I want him to be elected. I want him to be elected. There's always has been this divide, but um, at the end of it, it's the same thing. That's all I gotta say. Like right now in
What
Canada,
do you? Yeah, I was gonna say, do you see in Canada?
yeah, in Canada, no, right now, everybody hates the liberal
Trudeau.
government. They hate him. They
Okay.
hate him. Oh yeah, yeah. The ratings are extremely down for him, um, because he was about to pass a law that it was called carbon tax. So in Canada, we're already paying tax for our gas when we go to fuel up, about 13% HSC tax. He wants to add, or they liberals want to add another tax on top of that called the carbon tax. So that adds on about 13 cents per liter. So you're adding a tax on tax to combat climate change. Like, what is this going to do? Like, what, you want people to buy more Teslas? I mean, okay, cool, whatever. But double taxing something like that is not okay,
Yeah.
especially at a time where mortgages are 7 grand a month when people can't afford to even live. So I don't think he's going to be elected next. I think the conservatives are going to come after that. That's for sure. But that divide in Canada, we don't have this divide, and I hate it when the media goes like, "Oh, the country's divided." No, no, it's not. The country's not divided. The country's not divided. They've only because you interviewed 10 people
Yeah.
and they said something different than each other. That's only 10 people. I don't know. I've never seen the U.S. ever divided. It's just it's just
Well, I can tell you right
what
now
we.
that there's definitely y- like I mean I'm not going to say who I voted for or not, but I can tell you that I have friends that this past election that they were voting for Biden, and uh, they would put their signs in front of their houses. But my friends that were voting for Trump didn't, because they were scared their house would get vandalized.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, that's interesting. Like that's an interesting that that's a line that's getting crossed, you know? Um it's also like if somebody says that they support Trump or they want to vote for Trump, they're labeled by many as a racist or a white supremacist. And it's like that's going really extreme. Like but you don't see that if someone says you want to vote for Biden, it's like you're just an idiot. It is the other side. It's like you're just like I don't think you're a racist. I just think you're misinformed, and apparently you like inflation and a shitty economy. But it's this like extreme now that I think is just raising the temperature. It's like it can't be that just because people disagree with you that you're going to vandalize their house, steal their signs, or call them a white supremacist every just because of who they vote for. Like that is just not nuance. And but I feel like that's a lot of what's happening around right now, and I can see it.
But let me ask you a question. Who do you think painted the narrative that Trump is a racist and Biden is stupid? You know what I mean? Because
Well,
they're not racist or stupid. They're just they're the people who run countries. They're
yeah,
presidents. These are
uh,
intelligent people.
I
So
can answer that.
okay, do it.
Yeah, as far as the racist thing, I don't think it's that Trump was specifically painted as a racist, although he has been. The Republican Party in general has been painted as a racist party. And I think that's come a lot from Democrats, right? I mean, just listen to Joe Biden, right? To quote him, "If you don't vote for me, you ain't black." Like, like, come on, like that's pretty. He said that to Charlemagne the God, he said that to a
Good.
black guy, and Charlemagne was like, "What? What'd you just say?" It. So I think the Democrats. I'm not saying Democrats like all of them, but I think the like Democratic National Committee, like the main puppets and power of Democrats want to paint the picture of like if you're black, you have to vote for Democrats because the Republicans are racist. They don't like immigrants. They're trying to keep people out of the country, hence the border
Mm.
and all that. Right? Like they paint that. I think it's the Democrats that paint that. As far and maybe the media, but Democrat led media. As far as Biden being stupid, I would say a lot of that comes from our 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 leaders when it comes to business. Like it's, I mean, you heard Ron Barron say it the other day.
Yeah,
Like that's not like I
yeah.
mean it's like and Ron Barron was you could tell that he, he's a Jewish guy from New York. Like of course he's a Democrat, right?
Yeah.
But even he was like, like I'm not a big fan of a lot of things he's been doing, and so I I think it comes from that. I don't think the Democrat Party really has. I don't think they've normally had a label like that of being like stupid, and I still don't think the Democrat Party has a label of stupid because they tend to be more of the Harvard grads, type people, but they do have this naivete about them right now, which they never had that before. But this like everything has to be socialist. Every person's feelings matter. We have to make sure that everybody has the same, has the same starting line for every little thing. Like if not, we have to fix the starting line. And it's like in theory, all that's great, but that's not reality because if you take me and someone else, and maybe we're starting different starting lines from um, a financial perspective, but maybe they have a better IQ than me. Maybe they're more athletic than me. Maybe they have more loving parents than I have. Maybe I mean like it's impossible to have everybody on an equal line there. But I think that's where it comes from the Republicans is they've always been painted as like the racist party. Always.
That's hilarious. Yeah, yeah. No, I think right now in the next election, I think everyone really doesn't want a president that's like 70 plus years old. I think
Yeah.
that's whether it's Republican or Democrat. I think they're just like, you know what, enough with this old age. I mean, we have one who can barely function, he can't really talk, and we got the other one who's just orange. So,
so
so
who you don't have to say, but who does
yeah,
Pezzi like right now?
the president or the candidates?
Candidates. Yeah. What candidates? Like, you
Oh
don't have to pick
man, I
one. You could
don't.
pick a couple, but like, are there any that, if you even follow it?
I don't know who's there for Democrat. I know for Republican, there's Vivek, there's this Nikki girl. I don't even know. I don't know who's there on the Democrat side.
It's RFK, sort of. But for some
Okay.
reason, the Democrats are not giving him, they're treating him like he's not a candidate, essentially.
Oh yeah,
So they're pretty much packing it in and just kind of excommunicating him. Um, I, I, I can't stop listening to Vivek. I think he's just very well spoken. He's nuanced. I feel like he actually understands what he's saying. I don't agree with everything he says, and
yeah,
he's a little cocky, but
yeah,
I like him a lot. I like his he's well thought. Like he's thought through the things he's saying. He's not just
yeah.
saying the same rhetoric over and over, and I appreciate that.
Who I want, whoever it is that's gonna be president, I want this person to obviously focus on the United States and their own companies like Tesla and all those other guys.
Mhm.
But I also would like him to also have a strong um, geopolitical hold across the world, like RFK. He said that he wants to remove some bases in Europe. No, that is not a good idea. He wants to
Yeah.
remove it some other places. No, you don't want it. The reason why those countries haven't been invaded is because of that. The reason why in Kuwait we have big reserves of U.S. troops here. And the reason why it's staying so peaceful here is because of this main reason. If they go tomorrow, get ready for Iran, man. You know what I mean? So it's no, they need to
Yeah.
have this presence outside, and they need to keep there. And if the goal is not to have another world war, if you want to have another world war, sure, take all your bases away and see how the world is going to unfold. So that's what I would like to have as a president, who can focus strongly, obviously internally, because it also benefits Canada and all those other countries as well, North America, and be present geopolitically around the world, not provoking anybody,
Hmm.
but being there so you can deter them, like China and
Yeah.
Taiwan kind of thing. So
I'm with you.
yeah, that's I don't
Yeah.
know. For now, I haven't seen anyone who's both on strong, who's strong on both. Like that's the concerning part. It's like one guy's one or the other. So it's like ah,
Yeah. Yeah. I love the idea of, I think I would love to see it just once, for once, have a president focus internally. Like China does it a lot. And China
yeah,
has, just amazing infrastructure, amazing. I mean, Japan, most countries do it, right? Most
yeah,
countries actually focus within. And but we don't do that much. We give a lot of money outward. It's
yeah,
we talk about like a hundred plus billion to Ukraine, and I don't know if it's right or not right. I don't have all the information, so I can't make a intelligent comment on that. But I just wonder, like, man, what happens if you put that 100 million into the country, or 100 billion, excuse me, 100
billion.
billion into the country? Like, geez, what could we have done with that? like that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's not
Uh,
that's
yeah.
yeah. I mean, we don't have public
This,
transportation. We don't have, bullet trains. We don't have state art
mm, okay.
bridges. We don't have like the best architecture. Our airports are falling apart. Our ports are abysmal. Like, there's so much we could do. Our
Yeah.
schools. I mean, yeah, it'd be amazing.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
so
That's why, well, yeah,
we're
that's why the
at
president, yeah.
good.
Yeah, we're an hour and 40. No, no, nothing. I'm just saying that a president that can focus heavily internally and keep their presence externally to keep the world at peace. So free trade can move and the free world can stay free. That's ideal.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I want. I want
Yeah.
I just I really wish we could just have like, you're never gonna have like world peace, but you're always gonna have like, little things here or
Proxies here and
there.
there, and that's fine.
Yeah,
That's okay as long as it doesn't go to a world war where you have the whole world just killing each
yeah,
other. That's the
yeah.
big. That's the because man, we don't want to know how World War III is gonna look like, man. That's
No,
don't want
I
that.
don't I don't want my kids to know it. I don't want my kids to know it. Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to evolve from that. But hey, we're at an hour and 40 minutes here, so I got.
Sheesh.
Let me ask you one more question here, because if you can't tell, I can talk. This is my Hispanicness coming out. I can just keep talking and talking and talking and
No, it's
talking.
fun.
So
It's fun.
let me ask you this. Let's tie it back to Tesla and
All
investing.
right.
So you've got 700 something shares now.
7:15. Yeah.
Um, I you've got some properties, you got your own businesses, you got some with your parents, your family businesses. Um, well, do you have certain targets and goals you're trying to get to financially? Is there like a number that you're just trying to get to, and when you get to that number, it's a real financial independence for you, and it's like, hey, at that point it's you know I can live wherever, I can do whatever, like at that I'm my own man. I don't have to go into work, I don't have to do YouTube if I don't want to do YouTube, I don't have to just like, is there a number for you? How do you think of that?
That's a very good question. I've been thinking about that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
That magic number, well, depend on inflation too. But for now, that magic number is 10K a month. If I can generate 10K a month through investments only, nothing, nothing can stop me. I can do whatever I want. No one can tell me what to do. I think that's the magic number, but it has to be coming from investments. So cash
Hmm.
flowing things that I don't have to work on, whether it's properties, whether it's um, dividends, whatever. 10,000 a month, and I'm talking about 10,000 a month after tax.
Yes.
So that's what, maybe 20,000 a month. So pre-tax. So I think 10,000 a month net is a very good place to be, because you can rent a nice place or you can get a home, you can pay off the mortgage easily, you can get a car, you can have a kid and raise it with no issues. So I think that's the magic number. Unless inflation goes crazy again, then we got to bump it up a bit more. But
Yeah, but if
yeah,
if you're pulling it from investments, like maybe if it's coming in from like rent, well, if inflation goes up, rent's going to go
yeah,
up, and that should take
yeah,
care of itself.
exactly.
And if it's like in the stock market, well, same thing, right? Like at the end of the day,
Yeah,
the items sold get more expensive. That flows through the economy. Stock reflects. So normally, inflation, I would say, shouldn't be a big issue in the big
yeah,
scheme of things, right? Maybe in a 1 year window, it's like, oh crap. But
yeah.
when you look at
Over
five, ten
time,
years, yeah, it should flatten out. Um,
yeah.
so do
It,
you see most of that coming from, like you said, like hard investments like real estate, or do you see a portion of that coming from your Tesla shares, or
mm.
at, do you anticipate dividends from Tesla shares so you don't have to sell Tesla shares?
Oh well, that's the thing. So if Tesla 10x's and have what 715 shares, that's about
if Tesla 10x's, we're
It's like,
all gonna have to like have a big party like down in Austin or something.
yeah, yeah, I'll
When
be down.
Tesla
Yeah, I'll be down.
10x's, yeah.
Yeah. But if it 10x's and I don't sell anything until it 10x's, that's what, 2 million. Depending at that time of stage of time with Tesla, if they decide to do dividends, I'm not gonna move it because I'm just gonna benefit from the dividends. But if they don't do dividends, and we're gonna have this long pause again until the bot comes into play, then I have to shave some out to put into other investments that can give me passively. Now, this could be a rental property, or this could be
Mhm.
a high income dividend stock, something that can give 8-9%, like a mortgage backed security or something like that. Put into bonds, maybe, if bonds are good. I don't know. Just diversify that way so I can make that extra income every month without, you know, have to worry. Because right now, majority of my money is in Tesla. And so if you look at my bank account right now, it's it's low. Like I mean, I could pay my next bill, but that's it.
Yeah,
So because I'm just like, buying more, and I do want to buy a couple more um this year, because I know next year narrative's going to change for Tesla. That's my opinion. Um, because
good or
interest
bad?
in good. Oh,
Okay,
wonderful. If interest rates go lower, that's going to be awesome.
yeah,
We got the Highland, and you get the Cybertruck. I mean, you're going to see that's the biggest one, the Cybertruck. But interest rates, as soon as there's some hint it's going to go down, we're off to the races in some
yeah,
way or form. Not financial advice, but that's what I think. I think 2023, the worst year has been done and over with. I do think there is some sort of soft landing with it coming in the US. At least in Canada, we're already in a recession, which is our third GDP is zero. So I don't know if that's second or the first one, but we are definitely in a recession in Canada, and they're thinking of cutting rates actually in March or April, based on what the
yeah.
Bank of
They,
Canada is estimating.
yeah. I think what is it? Bank of England or said they're done
Yeah.
with rate hikes. Canada's done with
Yes.
rate hikes.
Yes.
The U.S. is data dependent.
We are, but we're not. So yeah.
Yeah.
So we're
Okay.
at that we're at that hiking cycle now. Is paused. How long will it be paused for? That's the question. I know the bond yield is saying it's going to be longer than expected, but eventually, whether it's 6 months in, or 3 months in, or 9 months in, or 10 months in 2024, there has to be some sort of a cut. Well, even if it's 0.25%, there has to
Hmm.
be something. So just off that alone, and the stock market is forward thinking. So when you put two and two together with Tesla, so I think it's going to be a great year for Tesla in 2024. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I would do.
Hey,
That's what I would do with my Tesla
do,
investment.
do you know what the 4% rule is or 5% rule?
Uh, yeah, for homes I do, but actually, I did read
No,
about it. But
no,
go
yeah.
ahead, tell me.
I encourage you to look into this. Just if you Google the 4% rule,
You take four
you can,
percent off every year. Ah, yes, yes, yes. Is that
yeah.
it?
So, yeah,
Yes.
essentially, yeah. So I say 5%. I'll tell you why in a second. But so the 4% rule essentially says that let's say you had $1 million
Okay.
in the stock market. Stock market returns on average, let's say 8% a year. They've
Okay.
done studies starting at any, like if you retired, starting any year over the past 100 years, doesn't matter what year you start, in perpetuity, you can pull out 4% and that,
Yes.
adjusting for inflation as well, 4%, and you will never draw down your starting base. And so, to your point, if Tesla, let's say 10x's, say you have 2 million, 5%. So with the 4% rule, you'll never lose money. Like it's like 99.9% you won't lose money. At 5%, it's like 97% you won't lose money.
Yeah.
And so I just like to use 5% because it's easier math. But so if you have 2 million, 5% of that, that's 100 grand right there.
There we go.
That's not quite 10 grand a month, but that's essentially where your number's at.
Yeah.
It's, to throw in one rental property, all right, you're at your number. But so
Yeah.
so yeah, so you could You could definitely get, and that's assuming Tesla like 10x's and just stops there, so like it doesn't
Yeah,
move anymore. Because as it
yeah,
goes up, that 5% you're taking off, it becomes more money, but it's still just 5% of your total, right? So if
yes.
if we get to a $10 trillion company, that's like, oh, okay, that's way more
Yeah,
than my 10,000 a month I wanted. So
that's true. That's true. Yeah, no,
yeah,
that's true. That's absolutely true. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the 4 or 5% rule. I also thought about that too, but it's like what I really would like to do is like to have like a lot of rental prop. But the problem with Canada is that it's not um, landlord friendly when it comes to their
yeah,
tenants. It's not like the US where it's landlord friendly, but in Canada, it's like if somebody can't pay their monthly rent, then this can go on. The guy doesn't have to pay for a full year or 9 months until it's settled in court. And the
mm,
guy's like, dude, I gotta pay for all this, and he's just sitting for free. So yeah, maybe short term rental is better. I don't know.
yeah. So do you think let's say you got to your say 10, 12,000 a month, whatever, you're doing well, you're free, right? You don't have handcuffs, you don't have to go to work if you don't want to. Um
Mhm.
do you think you keep working? Do you, like what does life look like for Peggy at that point? Like are you just
Oh
traveling
man,
the world? Are you married? Do you have kids? Are you like what's it look like? Or are you still, working with in the family business because it's family? Are you still in Canada? Are you like, I don't want to go back to Kuwait, or I don't want to go back to Canada? Like, what's that look like? Dream with me a little bit.
I would. Yeah, I'll dream with you. I would definitely be more selfish with my time. That's one thing. So the thing with Kuwait is there's no life here outside of work. Unfortunately, I've been here for 7 years, dude, and I can't find a friend here. It's
Oh
just
wow.
not. It's hard. It's like the locals here. They want to be with their own group of people, and the foreigners here are only here to make money and to go back to their
Mm,
country.
yeah,
So
send money back home. Yeah,
yeah, that's all they're there for. They're not there to make friends, to go to coffee and spend money. Spend money. I'm here to save money, to send money home.
yeah,
So it's really hard to find a life outside of just work here. Now I'm fortunate because I have my brothers here, my family here, so they're like your best friends. But
hmm
if I'm making that much money and I don't have to um, be here all the time, I would probably say, you know what, guys, I'm gonna go get a place in the middle of the woods or by the lake, whatever, um, and do YouTube, because YouTube for me is not a job. I love doing YouTube, like making
yeah,
videos and pumping it out. I just love it. So
yeah.
I'll probably
It's a
continue.
hobby to me. Yeah, it's a
Yeah, it's
like a
fun.
passion project. Yeah,
Yeah, it's so much fun, and it's like you interact with people, and now you got X, so it's like
yeah,
it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and you're making money from it. So it's like if you really want to be occupied, well, here it is. You can do this.
yeah.
So
You know what the best
that's
part
what I
is?
would.
Sorry to interrupt you. The
Yeah,
best
no, go
part
ahead.
is like we love to travel. Like we'll be in Spain for the holidays. We love going down to Costa Rica. We go
Mm.
to Boston a lot to see family. But YouTube can come with me anywhere. Like I just
Yeah, that's
love
the
that,
cool thing.
and I love like
Yeah.
bringing people around the world with me as I do things. Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's like it's remote. You can do it anywhere you want. You can do however you like, and you get into a community like you and I were in the Tesla community, and it's just so much fun. And it's something that it's not it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like you're just having fun and you're making money from it. And I think that is the most priceless thing um, you can ever experience, because you could do it anywhere. You're getting paid for it, and you love what you're doing. So that's what it would look for me. I would probably go in the middle of the woods, get a Starlink, because I don't like the providers in Canada. Very expensive and not competitive at all. And just live the life that I want to live, and maybe come back to Kuwait for some time, because it's very stressful here. Um,
hmm
but yeah, just do that. Just
yeah.
relax. Don't take life so hard. What would you do?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. Um,
You haven't thought about it, have you?
oh, a lot. I've thought about it a lot. Are you
Oh,
kidding
okay.
me?
There we go. So let's see.
Um, so I told you we want to build a house. Um,
Hmm.
I mentioned like we're still like we're looking for the right place, right lot, and everything. Part of it is also we're kind of holding off a little bit. It's just see what happens, because that could change a lot about what we build. Um, but I want to have our main place here that we built. At that point, ideally we have a family and everything. But then you know, I traveling the world. Just going from place to place, visiting my family all over. We love the tropics, so we would probably spend a
Hmm.
lot of time like down in Costa Rica, in a little Airbnb that just overlooks the ocean. Hang out there, do YouTube from there. Just being out on the beach during the day, and then at night go out for a nice dinner with the kids and do YouTube. Just yeah, just travel. Be a this is gonna sound redundant, but a present parent. Like
Hmm.
like imagine that. Imagine being there for your kid every time they get home from school, every time they need help with something, and you're not stressed from work or tired because of
Hmm.
XYZ, and you can be the best possible parent. When they want to go and they want to understand something, hey, let's fly to that part of the country and really get an experience of it. Let's go check it out. Like to just I don't know, just to live life in another way. But so that's
Yeah.
like the fun of it. I also I we would probably start some type of business.
Oh yeah.
I think we'd probably try to build very custom houses. Um, do like one house a year kind of thing, but like just like next level detail
Hmm.
layout, like to make it like in the States. There's we don't have a lot of, or maybe it's the States. There's not like a lot of great houses here. Um, But like you go to Europe, like if you go to Greece, like so much of what they have there, the architecture is timeless. So
Oh yeah.
we would like to bring timeless design here. A house where if somebody buys it, that house is not going to get torn down. That thing's going to be there for over 100 years because the decisions that were made were so timeless. That's what I
Yeah.
want. I think that'd be cool. My family has a house in Spain. The house is over 250 years old. 250 years old, like that, you don't see that here in the States. you know I mean, it's at
The
least
states
not
isn't even
nowadays.
200. What the states is what only 200 years old. So
Yeah, essentially, yeah. So yeah, so I think that's what we would do. Just a lot of traveling, just enjoying life, because you know people may not believe me when I say this, but I actually am a lot like you. Like I intentionally put us in a state financially where if you look at our checking account, I intentionally keep that very, very, very low because
jeez.
I don't want us to get complacent just because we have money. Right. I want to maintain that frugal, that starvation, that, like
Ah,
that
yes.
hunger, but when you see
Yeah.
a lot of money there, it's it's very easy to get soft. And so
Yeah.
I intentionally I intentionally put pressure on us. And
Oh God.
and my wife doesn't love it always, but she gets it. Like there's bigger goals here. We're I want to make sure that all of our investing, all of that success happens before we eventually have kids or whatnot. So
Hmm.
I'm trying to pack it all in now, sacrifice now, so that then we can truly enjoy it. And I don't know.
Yeah.
That's kind
And
of the
that
vision.
yeah, and that's the thing. We can do that because we're young. We can do. We have the time to do it. It's not like we're 50 or 60 and we're starting to invest now.
Yeah.
You need to put in a whole lot more money in if you want to be retired by, let's say, 70, because time's not on your side. So if there's a time to cramp as much money as you can to good investments that's going to pay off, even a simple S&P 500, just do it when you're young. If you're 20 years old, if you guys are watching this and you guys are like 20, 22 years old, 21 years old, heck, 19, 18, because that's when I think you can start investing in the stock market or anything. And you don't want to stress too much about your money. A simple S&P 500 index fund, $200 a month. By the time you're 60, 70, you're a multi-millionaire. So
Yeah.
it's simple as that. And it's because you have time. And the more, and that's you up it up to $400 a month, $500 a month. Then you're going to have many more millions by 60, 70. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you're young, man, just continue to start investing. Start investing.
Well, I appreciate you dreaming with me here at the end. So it's gonna be fun to
Absolutely.
all of us to be on this journey together. In our own ways, in our own countries, in our own places, in our own phases of life, and just is that's what's gonna be unique. Like this is gonna be a very unique point in time where all these YouTubers who are investing and going through all these things, as Tesla appreciates the way we think it will, we're all going to be coming into this set of new wealth, having tracked all this and created this friendships, and we're going to go from, you know, not being, where our investments we think are going to go to being there and having arrived, and it's going to be like, hey, let's all meet up for this or let's go do that, and it's money just won't be an object, which will be just kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah. I think it would be awesome that if Tesla hits a major milestone, like let's say 10 trillion valuation, I think we should all the
Whew.
whole, well, I know, the whole entire
Sheesh.
Tesla community, sheesh, the whole entire Tesla community, you, me, Farzad, Yashu, Herbert, Oracle, Boomer Mama, and so many others. We should all make it like an event, like Austin, Texas, like you said, and we just meet up to celebrate that we did it, guys. Like, geez, I mean, we fought through thick and thin, and we talked about it. We
Yeah,
made videos about it. You know, cheers to it.
that's what
So
we
I
need
think
to
this would
do.
be. I think that's
The
actually really
the
cool. I think that.
like like the week that like the week that seems like Tesla's about to like hit that 10 trillion mark, we all need to be in the same place, just
Oh
waiting
yeah, yeah,
for it.
dude, that's gonna be
Like
so
live
awesome.
streaming it. Yeah,
Mega
yeah,
mega live stream, just everyone in one place. Like, oh, it's a 10 trillion. It's gonna be awesome.
yeah,
I think this would
yeah.
be cool.
Wow. All right, man. Well, we officially just crossed 2 hours. Listen, I appreciate you.
Sheesh.
I know it's later for you. I think it's probably like 9 p.m. your time now. So
Yeah, yeah,
appreciate you jumping on
nine.
with me, man. Yeah.
My pleasure, man. Anytime. Smash that like button, everyone. Subscribe to Nicholas. He's got some cool, great stuff coming.
Yeah. And you want to plug your stuff?
Yeah, I mean, Curious Peggy. You can follow me on X or YouTube. I mean, if you're a Tesla investor or just a normal investor, um, we talk about that. But mainly Tesla at the moment, and maybe Palantir. Maybe I don't know. Let's
Ooh.
see.
We'll say
Ooh.
that one for next time.
Ooh, indeed.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate it
All right.
again. Take care. Bye, everybody.
Thanks a lot, man. Take care. See you.